Looks like we have everybody joining us now. And I'm so happy that everybody is with us on Friday morning, the start to what's going to be a beautiful weekend. We are so excited to have you guys with us. I'm going to give everybody again just another minute to get logged in. But thank you so much for joining us.
And you're going to you go first.
And for those that don't know, my name is Ginger. I am the Executive Director of the Connectionology Seminars of America. Very excited to have you with us today. The last week, actually 2 weeks, last week was the amazing Florida Justice Association annual convention. And then this week, as you guys know, was the big Mark Lanier conference in Houston, Texas. And so we didn't have any webinars because we wanted to definitely support them and encourage you guys to be there. But we're starting back with more webinars. And if you go to our website, connectionology.com, you can sign up for even more of them because we have 3 brand new ones next week. So be sure to check those out. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do things a little bit different today because we're going to introduce all of our incredible partners. And then we're going to jump into the presentation. And then we're going to do all the questions that you guys have at the very end. So as you guys know, we are so grateful to HMR, On Point Legal Nurse Consulting, as well as Physician Life Care Planning. And in just a moment, you guys are going to hear from Taylor with HMR, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit more about what they specialize in. But they are one of our amazing partners. They've been with us for, gosh, since the very first webinar, right, Taylor? I think we've done way over 200 webinars now. So
definitely been an incredible run.
So thanks for being with us, and tell us a little bit more about what you guys do.
Yep, thank you for the introduction, Ginger. Again, my name is Taylor Luce. I'm the Southeastern Regional Manager for the company here in North Carolina. We're a national medical funding company for uninsured or underinsured injured plaintiffs operating in about 40 states. So for the last 12 years, we've really been specializing in the medical funding space for traumatic brain injury. And that's all the way from a routine MRI to a spinal cord injury and amputation, physical therapy, and then obviously TBI. We'd be happy to assist in any of those departments. And then with those cases, you've got these people that are catastrophically injured who cannot provide for their families. And in that regard, we're able to offer pre-settlement advances as well. And all of these portfolios that I'm telling you about today, we do on a case-by-case contingent basis. And with the pre-settlement, we're able to offer assistance for, their living expenses, whether they need to pay rent, pay their car note, groceries, whatever it may be, we'd be happy to help. And then the latest program that we just launched that we're extremely excited about is, your case cost or your litigation funding that we can do on a case-by-case and contingent basis as well. If you were to need to bring a treating physician live at trial, or an accident reconstructionist, or a life care plan, we'd be happy to assist in that department as well. So we've been doing this for the last 10, 12 years, from the West Coast to the East Coast to the Gulf Coast, and even up to New York. So we'd love to assist on your next case that needs any medical funding. We'd be happy to talk to you more about the options that your clients, can have with HMR. And we really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Connectionology has been a wonderful partner to HMR, and we look forward to being more a part of these in the future.
Absolutely. And Taylor, we could not be more happy to have you with us as well. So be sure to put your information in the chat box for everybody. And I encourage everyone watching to save Taylor's information, and feel free to call him, whether it's now or later down the road, but he's an incredible resource. So thank you so much, Taylor, for being with us, and keep up the great work. Okay.
Thank you, Ginger. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too. And now I'm so excited because I'm going to introduce you to another partner of ours, Dawn with On Point, and she's going to share with you guys some of the incredible work that they do over there. You've probably heard John Romano speak before how much their firm loves working with On Point, and that they do have some of the best pain and suffering reports out there. So you're going to want to hear what she has to say. And Dawn, we're happy to have you with us.
Hey, Ginger. Well, I'm very happy to be here with you. And I've been talking to a lot of Connectionology participants over the last few months. And everyone's enjoying your program, and we've had a really nice opportunity to really support a lot of the Connectionology attendees. So I'm the program director for the Expert Witness Location Program at On Point Legal Nurse Consulting, and we're a nationwide litigation support team. We provide comprehensive services, and we can support your team from the very earliest part of your case, which is getting your medical records, which I know all of your staff hates that part of the process because it's never simple, but we can help you get the records. Once we have them, we can organize them, OCR them. Very helpful to go through an orderly chart, and it's much more cost effective for experts to navigate, and they certainly prefer to receive it in an organized fashion. In addition to this, we have nurses that can help really simplify the medicine, free up your staff's valuable time. Sometimes people use paralegals to do chronologies, and they're certainly smart folks and can do a nice job, but there's just something to be said for using professional nurses and the medical insights that they have from decades of experience. And in addition to just summarizing and putting things in sequence, we can do unique case analysis and outline strengths and weaknesses of your case, identify missing records. We can help with system failures, red flags, and also defense management strategies that are really going to help you in preparation for your case. And today you'll talk about trucking cases, and we can provide experts that can do black box analysis. I never knew until I got into this. I thought that was limited to airplanes, but it is not. We can do accident reconstruction, and of course, all the medical experts that you need, like orthopedics, neurology, traumatic brain injuries. And then, once you have your experts, you're going to need to quantify the damages, and that can be life care plans. Even for some smaller cases, even, like little things that aren't trucking accidents, but slip and falls, where you may not need a whole life care plan. We can do medical cost projections, which are a much more limited method to really project what all your clients' future costs will be and maximize case value. And then, of course, Ginger mentioned pain and suffering reports. Pain and suffering reports are just a great way to really spell out, what did your client go through? What was it like to be suctioned? What was it like to have all those wound debridements? What was it like to go through all the rehab and procedures that they were subjected to as a result of this accident? And it really humanizes it. And it's a factual report, not always needed from an expert perspective, but it's, the nurse can provide all of the details and really paint an excellent picture of what your client went through. And it can really help you in mediation or, in settlements. So I'm happy to talk to you about how we might work together. It doesn't cost anything to call me. I have 35 years of nursing experience. I'm happy to sit and chat with you about your case, come up with strategies for what type of experts and how we might help you. So I'll post my info on the chat page, and I'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dawn. And definitely put your information in the chat, because I know people are going to want to reach out. We're so happy that everybody watching stays in touch with Dawn. And thank you for all that you do. And then now I'm excited. We've got one more incredible introduction of Connor over at Physician Life Care Planning. He's going to share with you guys a little bit more about what they do before we jump into this presentation. But they do some incredible work, and they've got like over 85 different experts and physicians all across the country doing work on your cases. So Connor, we're glad to have you. We really missed you, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Ginger, and thank you to everyone at Connectionology for having us today. Again, my name is Connor. I represent Physician Life Care Planning. For those of you that don't know, we are a nationwide provider of damages valuation services that specializes in the formulation of future medical requirements, loss of earnings capacity, and loss of household services. And like Ginger said before, we do have over 85 board certified physician life care planners throughout the country, as well as economists and vocational experts, all under one retention agreement. And what really makes us different is that all of our life care planners are practicing medical doctors, and they're all board certified in physical medicine and rehabilitation, or physiatrists. And that makes them really uniquely qualified to provide and especially defend a strong medical foundation in life care planning based on their experience providing rehabilitative services to individuals with disabilities. So overall, we can provide life care plans, loss of earnings capacity assessments, loss of household services assessments, and present or future value assessments. And all of our experts work together when creating these reports. It's all under one retention agreement. We're really a one-stop shop for damages valuation. We also offer affordable, transparent, fixed rate pricing with a standard turnaround time of 8 weeks, but expedite services are available. If you have a case that has some deadlines coming up, we can expedite that down all the way to a week or two, depending on availability. If anyone has any cases they'd like to discuss, or if you'd like to see a case-specific sample, we have a database of thousands of completed plans. If you'd like to see one that closely mirrors your client's age and condition, I'll leave my information in the chat if anyone would like to reach out, or if anyone has any questions. And again, thank you so much for having me today.
And I hope they reach out to you too, because we are so lucky to work with the best of the best. So thank you so much, Connor. We hope to see you again very soon. And everybody, go save his information now. Okay.
Thanks again.
All right. We'll see you soon, Connor. Thanks.
Bye.
And now I'm very excited, you guys, because we are going to bring in our amazing moderator today, Miss Destiny Barbosa. As you guys know, she's an incredible law attorney, works with John Romano in West Palm Beach out of the Romano Law Group. And she has a wonderful passion for helping others. She's been focusing her practice primarily on civil litigation, criminal defense, and business litigation. And also as a plaintiff's trial lawyer, she fights for all of those who have been catastrophically injured in semi-truck and car crashes. You've probably seen her on a lot of our trucking case webinars, but she speaks also around the country on these topics, and she's an incredible resource. So please make sure you stay in touch with Destiny as well. Destiny, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to you. Thank you again for all that you do, and we're so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you, Ginger. I appreciate your kind introduction, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today. I have the pleasure of introducing Michael Maggiano and Vincent Maggiano today. Michael is a well-respected and renowned trial attorney licensed to practice in New Jersey and New York. He's also licensed to practice before the Supreme Court of the United States. Mike is a fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers and an advocate member of the American Board of Trial Advocates. He is a past president of the New Jersey Association for Justice and the Melvin Belli Society. Mike and his loving wife, Alice, have been married for 46 years. He has the privilege of working with his son, Vincent, currently, and soon his son, Joe, will be graduating from law school, and he will also be working with him as well. We also have Vincent Maggiano here with us today. Vincent is the owner and senior specialist of Dynamic Evidence. He and his wife, Haiti, do fantastic work for Mike and thousands of other attorneys around the country. Dynamic Evidence specializes in forensic legal videography and evidence production and management. Dynamic Evidence is equipped to assist us attorneys or they can also request professionals in the assist professionals in the presentation and documentation of evidence through various forms of multimedia and technology. They combine tremendous creativity and the most advanced technology to fulfill your courtroom and professional needs. Mike and Vincent will talk more today about Dynamic Evidence. So I'm going to turn it over to Vincent here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Over the next 90 minutes, we invite you to see and consider how video testimony and case frame graphics will make a lasting impression from opening to closing through the use of colorful visual aids that capture the essence of your evidence in ways that the modern juror will accept and understand. My name is Vince Maggiano with Dynamic Evidence, and for over 20 years, I've had the privilege to work with some of the masters of the courtroom in documenting trial testimony and evidence to make it easy for the viewer. I invite you to join us in making this connection with our jurors by using this one dynamic approach. Simplify the facts into a story and make that story visual. Today, our topic is case framing, the truck crash case, a visual model. And we're going to show you how we create graphic communication frames highlighting what your case is about in memory-making images that provide the information the jury will need to make a just verdict. With me today is Mike Maggiano, who's going to take you through some sample visuals that we've created for him to show that a truck crash case is very different from a car crash, and how we move the jury to a place of understanding through these case frames that the defense cannot deny. Thank you, and I welcome Michael Maggiano.
Thank you, Vince. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us on a Friday. Here in New Jersey, it's really a pretty nice Friday. In New York City, we are storytellers in part, aren't we? But we start out in law school learning civil procedure, evidence, you name it, we learn it, and we kind of come into compartments framed by our professors. And when we get out of law school, my first case, I collected the evidence like crazy. I brought it to the courthouse like I was bringing it to a weighing scale and delivering fact after fact after fact until the jury was asleep. I learned very quickly by watching other lawyers in other courtrooms that what they were doing far better than me was telling a story from the evidence they collected. Today, we're going to talk about how to collect that and create a visual story from the evidence in your case. Now, I'm not here to say that don't bother with the evidence. Of course, our first job before we ever get into the courtroom, the only lions in the courtroom are drudges in the office. So our first job is to get out there and collect the evidence. The question is, what do we do once we have it? How do we frame it into ways that our jurors will appreciate and understand and will reach them in a very meaningful way? So first, what's a story all about? Everybody loves a story. In a story, there's a protagonist. That's the hero, Batman. There's an antagonist, the villain, the Joker. There's a plot. There's conflict. There's resolution. So we have to frame the story. And how do we frame the story? By sitting behind our desks and just having the evidence come in document form and doing no more than that? Or do we, like the good reporter, run out there and meet our witnesses and listen to them? Listen to them all and collect the story. You may think you know the story. You may not have it yet. It's out there. Our job is, like the good reporter, collect the story, take it down, and then do one more thing. This is a book that I have to tell you, there's two books now that has enabled me to create all the frames you're going to see today. It has enabled me to rewrite my stories in my cases to make them far more powerful than they ever were. A fine gentleman from Rhode Island, one of the most exceptional trial lawyers I have ever met in all my 48 years at the bar, Mark Mandel, in 2015, wrote a book called Case Framing. It is tattered, torn. I just bought a new one. Mark lectured for us, came down to New Jersey, Atlantic City, and lectured with a wonderful group of trial lawyers he brought together, and for him, delivered a wonderful day of case framing for us. What is case framing? Well, this sums it up. This is from page 1, the introduction. Here's what Mark has to say. The premise underlying everything in this book is this: just verdicts result when everything presented at trial is framed and sequenced, to focus juror attention on the points you most want to make. It's not about delivering pounds and pounds and volumes of evidence to the courthouse. It's about finding the main thing, right, Stephen Covey? The main thing is making the main thing the main thing. So Mark tells us your case is about what you focus it on. Focus the jury's attention on what actually matters, the fundamental truth that gives meaning to your case. So that's what we're on the hunt for. What is the main thing in your case? Mark tells us that what got his attention is one day in a focus group, a juror said, you know, I couldn't get over. When that witness said, and then another, I can't get over, and that clicked. And Mark says, we have to go hunt for those statements, those facts, those documents that you just can't believe, that you're stunned and surprised and disappointed, but they're there and we can't get over it. And these become the kernels that will reach the emotions of the jurors. So in 2019, after talking to trial lawyers around the country and listening to their stories and helping them with his case frames, he wrote Advanced Case Framing. It's case framing on steroids, but the key is to take advanced case framings and case frames and read them together. Follow the footnotes here, go back to case frames, and you will be a powerhouse. Perhaps not like Mark, because he is 1 in a million, but you will be a powerhouse. So today is a tribute to Mark's work, Case Framing the Truck Crash Case, a visual model. The best story you're going to tell will be a visual story. Our jurors live, particularly the millennials, live in a world of WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So let's be on the hunt for the visual story. But first, let's talk about the dynamics in a big rig crash. There's a number of preloads that we have to get past and we have to deal with early. I wrote down a number of our problems here. And the first is accidents happen. You know, mom and dad, me with my grandchildren now, I've turned my 5 grandchildren into terrible jurors. You'll never want them in your jury. Why? Because when Gabriella came up to me and said, you know, Mercedes pushed me and I fell down and I hurt my knee, and yell at her, Papa. And Mercedes says, I didn't know she was there. I didn't mean it. It was just an accident. And I go, Gabriella, it was just an accident. It's okay. You'll get better. It was just an accident. And Gabriella walks away and says, oh, okay, Papa. All right, Mercedes, it was just an accident. And that's how we teach them in life, don't we? It's just an accident. And then they come into our jury room, our jury boxes, and they think, well, you know, on the way to the courthouse today, I was in a rush and my cell phone went off. And I looked, I didn't want to pick it up, but I did look, and traffic stopped ahead of me and I almost hit the fellow ahead, and that would have been an accident, but I didn't mean it. And so when they get into the courtroom and something like this happens, and this is the fare of the day, they're inclined to give, even in a rear end hit, the defendant a pass because it was just an accident. How do we break the preload? Well, there's others. How do you deal with these? Let me read you a few more that I wrote down. How about this one? A crash is a crash. They happen every day. Any street corner in a busy city. Trucks, cars, buses. What's the difference? A car crash is a truck crash. Not so. What we're going to do today is show why a truck crash is very different than a car crash. The defense will want to focus on the accident itself, and keep your focus there. Why? Because the results are confusing, especially in a multi-car accident. Who amongst us can tell how this happened when you see the aftermath and the wreckage all over the place? The defense lives in confusion and wants to focus on the accident and want to focus on the plaintiff's conduct. So we don't want to start there. We want to move that focus. We want to break that preload, and we want to back chain all the way back to corporate decision-making. You know, we talked about the antagonist and the protagonist. Who's the antagonist? Who's the villain? Where do we find the Joker? I submit to you, we have to look to the trucking companies, not the truck drivers. They're the pawns. Frequently, you'll be confronted with a pleasant fellow, hardworking, underpaid, works far too many days, too many years, trucking. Jurors will have empathy of him. That could be my Uncle Bob. That's George, who I see at the coffee shop. But the trucking company who had a duty, who signed an agreement to get its DOT. We're going to talk about this in a bit. The safety certification. How many of us have read the safety certification that a trucking company must sign to get its DOT number? So we have to reframe the focus. And then there's one more thing. There's Contract with America. Remember Contract with America, Newt Gingrich? Right in the heart of the book are trial lawyers. Trial lawyers have made American industry unable to compete with the world. Trial lawyers. Long before him was Jimmy Hoffa with truckers. Truckers move America, he said, right? Regulations are killing commerce. Regulations are killing the commerce of America. Free us up, unchain us. So there are those who believe that our Bible that we have on our desks in trucking cases is unfair to the truck driver. Now, if we walk in and test our driver in a deposition on the entire regs, we're going to lose. Our focus, what did Mark say? Your focus should be where your focus wants to be. Pick those important points and stay on them. Drill down. Make the main thing the main thing. So that's the key. Which violations in the regulations are important in your case? Now, once you've done all of this, then we're going to have to deal with and knock them off one by one. Did you know that in 1997, the National Safety Council, in addressing accidents in America, said, you know, one problem we have is we're calling them accidents. Accidents happen. Well, accidents just don't happen, said the Safety Council. There's a reason for every accident. We're going to recommend to the police chiefs associations throughout the country to change their reports. We're going to ask every state to change the report from an accident report to a crash report. Take a good look at that. What you thought was an accident report, it's a crash report. Take accident out of your vocabulary. And when at a deposition you're asking about the crash, objection, Maggiano, your argument, that's argumentative. That's argument. Save it for the jury. This was an accident. Don't play into that. Counselor, please. I want to direct your attention. Let's bring it up on the screen. Here's the police report in this case. Note up at the top, it says crash report, doesn't it? Well, let's keep it to what it is. This was a crash. The police call it a crash. I'm calling it a crash. Because that's what it was. And then there's a box in the report that wants to know, where do we place fault? Now, the idea was that the police officers had to do some work and investigate the cause. That kind of went by the boards, and sometimes they check it off, sometimes they don't, and it really doesn't work. But the takeaway for today is it's a crash, not an accident. So let's focus on what matters to the jurors. Let's tune in to their radio station. What radio station do they tune into? Well, it's WIIFM. Have you ever been there? Did you ever listen to it? You listen to it every day. You wake up with it in your head. What's in it for me? What's in it for every juror that heads out to the courthouse is they want to get to the courthouse safe. And what's in it for them at the end of the day is they wanted to have a safe day, right? Have a safe day. what better thing can you say to anyone except have a safe day? So think about the emotions that drive the decision-making of the WIFM jurors and ask, how will this evidence make them feel? And how do I best frame that evidence? So here we go. Let's take a look at what we have. Every day when a juror gets into the car, I had a juror right before COVID, my last trial. They get into the car and they head over to the courthouse. I interviewed one juror and I was dealt this blow. Mr. Maggiano, I was heading to the courthouse. I received the notice. I wanted to be part of the jury. I'm here, but I will tell you this. On the way to the courthouse, my cell phone went off. And I wasn't going to grab it, but I wanted to see who was calling. And I turned away and looked at it just for a second. When I looked back, I almost hit the car in front of me that just stopped. If I hit that car, that wouldn't have been an accident. I didn't intend to do that. I wasn't being careless. It would have been an accident, Mr. Maggiano. So, I have a little trouble with this. If you think that this isn't an issue, it's a big issue. We're going to take a look at a case a little later on in a deposition where the defense, through answers to interrogatories, was laying the groundwork for it's just an accident. Accidents happen. We're going to see that in a second. So let's focus on the big rig. Let's focus on that the crash is not a car crash. Let's focus on size and weight. And in this case, given physics and math, size and weight really matters. 80,000 pounds, 57 feet long. That is a whale of a vehicle. In the wrong hands, it's rolling death. At 70 miles an hour, that's like a car going 361 miles an hour. Now, let's talk about the graphics. I use yellow, right? Yellow is an attention getter. All your warning signs are in yellow. The backdrop is black. The big signs like a stop sign are red, so my truck is in red, and my cars are usually in a soft blue or purple. So colors matter. How many feet for an 80,000 pound semi truck to stop? 2 football fields, nearly. So I created 2 football fields. Well, Haiti did for me. And that's almost 2 football fields. Now you use these with your accident reconstructionist. You use them with your standards expert, your federal motor carrier reg expert. Now let me talk to you about experts, and let's talk about the insurance industry, our nemesis, right? I believe in insurance. I love insurance, but what bothers me is, well, let's save it for another day. What bothers me is what bothers you. Let's play the game straight, right? Let's not hide the evidence. Let's reveal all the policies that really exist. Let's look at the chassis policies that we often forget to look at. And what do they say? What's the lease agreement? Where is all the defendants? Have we uncovered all of the defendants? We're on a hunt for coverage, right? The value of the case. It's all a function of coverage. And they hide the evidence all too many times. So that's a big problem we're going to talk about on another day, where we should just dedicate to how to find insurance. Let's talk about the truck. The truck weighs up to 80,000 pounds. That is the weight of 27 to 28 regular passenger automobiles. Think about that. So in a big truck case, is that a fair fight? No. Big wins, small turns into a tuna can. Why is the trucking case so different? And why is the operation and maintenance of the truck so important? Because it's so big. One of the things you want to bring out in comparing the difference is what are all the obligations of a trucker before he climbs into his cab? And that's the pre-trip inspection. A good pre-trip inspection takes an hour, time it. But who does that? In the rain, at night, in the cold, in the snow? Who's going to do that? They're going to walk around, bang each of the tires, look around and hop in the cab. And that's their pre-trip inspection. That's not all that much difference than us hopping in our family car with the kids and the dog and the luggage. And it's just not supposed to be that way. You cannot throw a ball, right? Until they're ready to catch it. And if you think because you're saying it so, you're ready to lose. We walk into the courtroom like lawyer man and lawyer woman, and we think that everybody's going to listen to us when we say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're here to say that little Johnny was hurt because of the negligence of that trucker and his company. And we're here to ask for your verdict. Who are you, Maggiano, to walk into this courtroom, stand in front of me for 30 seconds and ask that at the end of the day, you get my verdict? Forget it. Why should I trust you? So that's not how we're going to start. And that's not the perspective we're going to look at this from. We're going to tell a story through our standards expert. Now, I will tell you this. The insurance industry, again, are by nature, by definition, actuarial entities. They collect data, they collect information, and then they make risk assessment. That's what they do. Included in that assessment is, do we try this case or not? Do we go forward or not? Is the demand reasonable based on our data? Who are the witnesses? Who are their experts? How have we dealt with those experts in the past? Do we have a book on those experts? Do we have a book on the trial lawyer? I will tell you, they have a book on all of us. They know who we are. They know who tries a case. They know who will settle before trial. They'll know who will settle before opening. They'll know who will settle before closing. They know us. It's scary. And they know you're experts. People ask me, who do I use? We all get comfortable with certain experts. I will use experts who you can research them, and their testimony is accurate time and time again because they tell the truth. That's why I love Scott Turner. He will do the homework, do the research, and he'll tell me, you don't have a case. Save your money. I can't help you. Bob Klingon, accident reconstruction, ACTAR certified, time and again has told me, this is not a case for you, Mike. There's others, but not this. I can't help you. That's, you want to be like the good coach, right? You want to listen for what you never want to hear. You want to look for what you never want to see. That's what the good coach does, and that's who you are. You're the good coach who's going to lead this team. And if there's bad stuff out there, you want to listen for it. If there's bad stuff out there, you want to see it, and you want to see it early. Can I deal with it or not? If you can't turn it around, honestly, don't take the case. That's not how you want to be known. And let's say, just by chance, you fool that jury and you get a verdict, be careful what you wish for. There is karma. Your name will get out there. Your name will get out there as a trickster, and you will be marked. That's not how you want to live in the trial world. It's a small world. So I'd rather walk into the courtroom and ask Mr. Turner, tell us about the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act. And he'll take this visual and he'll take us through the US Code and the creation by act of Congress of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And think about that word. He's reptiling us. He's talking about safety. It's the name of the administration, Your Honor. Calm down, counselor. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. It's in the case. It's all about safety. Thank you, Your Honor. And the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration created a code of federal regulations. How did they do it? By research, by collecting data from California to New York, from Maine to Florida, throughout the country, looking at all types of motor vehicle collisions, evaluating and looking for a root cause analysis. And based on all of that, these regulations were created. They weren't created to annoy or distract. They were created to save lives. The mission of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is to reduce crashes, reduce injuries, fatalities involving large trucks and buses. This is right off their website. Take a look at the lower right-hand corner. Source, www.fmcsa.gov. I guarantee you, at the end of the day, your jurors, no matter what the judge says, is going to go to that website and see if you were correct. And when they see that that's what it's all about, now they're beginning to follow you, not because of who you are, but because you're beginning to become a truth speaker to them, a guide in this foreign land called a courtroom, where up on top is this impressive figure in a black robe and a hammer. There's a witness stand that people look rather nervous climbing into. There's no, like in New Jersey, there's no windows. And if there are, you don't want to look out them if you can look out of them. There's no plants, there's no smiling kids, there's no sun, there's only the judge, the witness stand, us, and the lawyers. How do we bring vitality in life? Well, we bring it in through a visual story. And these become your story through exhibits of credibility. And you go further with your expert. Tell us about how it works. Well, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration created an enforcement arm. You'll see them out on the roadways. They can pull over a DOT vehicle, take a look at it, inspect it, check the credentials, check the freight. That's what they do. Why do they do it? Because the safety rules protect motorists. That's why, Mr. Maggiano, these regulations are important. Traveling safety is what it's all about. And by the way, it's the law. It applies to everyone, every single company, every single truck, every single trucker, to make our roads safe. And what's the end result? Well, the end result is here. The motoring public is protected by the application of this act through the regulations. Well, what happens when somebody or some company doesn't follow the regulations? Well, that shield of protection is broken and the public is unprotected and bad things happen and people are hurt. And I believe that's why we're here, Mr. Maggiano. What happens when the system isn't followed is our question, right? It's not about the trucker. It's about the system that he has to work in. It's about his company. So here's that DOT number. That's a pretty important thing. And I think they have to appreciate how you get a DOT number. There is an answer, and the answer is public safety. The regulations are in proportion to the potential for harm. And we follow our focus through the public safety regulations, which is our Bible. That is our guide for our expert and for the jurors. It becomes the juror's guide. So let's talk about something we're going to come to in a little bit, and that is the safety certification. The safety certification. We want the focus to continue to be on public safety. And what better way to do it is by reviewing through your expert the certification that every company must sign and agree to in order to get its DOT number. To your right is an exhibit I've used in many cases in closing argument. The regs are federal law that truck companies must follow. Safety first. And again, you see our red truck, and here it is. Let's go over this. The Motor Carrier Certification of Safety is a contract with the public. It's a contract with America, if we can borrow something from Newt Gingrich. It's a promise to the public. And what does it say? The applicant has access to and is familiar with the applicable US DOT regulations relating to the safe operation of commercial vehicles and the safe transportation of hazardous materials. And look at the things at a minimum you must do. Have in place a system and an individual responsible for ensuring overall compliance. That is in the minority of cases, right? 2, can produce a copy of the motor vehicle safety regs and hazardous material transportation regulations. Usually they do when they can find it. They produce it for the situation, but they rarely follow it. Let's look at number 3, has in place driver safety training and orientation programs. Who trains? Who makes sure the program is implemented? I had a case where I asked for the safety director. Madam, please tell me about your career. Always start with where did you go to high school? What did you do after that? What did you do? Well, then I went on to college and I majored in drama. And from there, I went into theater. Oh, I'm sorry, how did you get to this trucking company and safety director? I lost my job. I didn't have work. And my uncle owns the trucking company. So he needed a safety director. He gave me a book to read, and I became the safety director. And I know the book, and I read the book, and I have one just like you have, Mr. Maggiano. Yes, I have one of these. I have one of those, and I read it. You are a very good actress, but I don't think that's going to work here, the jurors are thinking. This is a true story. You cannot make this up. Other times, the safety director is a retired police officer, creatively hired, importantly hired as a buffer, because who's the first one out to the scene? The safety director gets the first call, is out at the scene, and he, bear with me, comes out, introduces himself to the investigators, who he may very well know, and he shows his badge and says, hi, I'm a retired sheriff. I'm a retired this or that. I never wave this at anybody. I'm a retired sheriff too. We lead busy lives as trial lawyers, don't we? Retired judges, retired sheriffs, retired police officers. God bless Joe Freed. He was a police officer. He's just went for retraining and reactivated, and he is an amazing guy. Can I tell you about Joe Freed? I just spent 3 days with him out in Billings, Montana, at the Legacy trucking course, where we drove big rigs. I drove a tractor and trailer. I drove a flatbed. I backed up a tanker, got it right on my 6th try. I drove a big box trailer, 50 feet, hauled by a big tractor. And you have to, let me tell you, if you're going to do this work, you have to climb into that cab. You have to climb into their shoes. How dare we be so arrogant to blame, and we have never done what the truckers do. Shame on us. And shame on me. I think I've come to the party too late. I should have done this years ago. I'm going to go for my CDL now, and I think you should too if you're going to do this work. So this becomes a safety certification, which is a promise to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that if you give me my DOT number and my license, I swear and promise and avow that I will follow these mandates, these requirements, these commandments. You know, when I was a kid, my mother loved Billy Graham. And one thing about Billy Graham is that he would have that Bible with him. And whenever he wanted to make a point, it wasn't Billy Graham talking, it was the Lord talking. And he would begin with this tremendous body language. And when he was coming to make his point, hand on the Bible, and the Lord said. Well, in our cases, hand on this Bible, and the law says, and pick the area and make sure you got it right. Do not make it a buffet. This is not about handing over to the jury 15 violations, because if that's what you have to do, you're going to lose. So focus on required knowledge, focus on what was supposed to be done safe and what was not. And those are mighty interesting words, right? Required knowledge. Well, I didn't make it up. It's part 383 of the Commercial Driver's License Standard, section 383.1A. And look at what the purpose of required knowledge is, huh? Wow. To help reduce or prevent truck and bus accidents, fatalities, and injuries. Talk about what's in it for me. That's in it for me. Oh, yeah. When I get out on the roadway and I'm next to a big truck, I want to make sure he has followed his Bible and I'm safe. And I'm going to do my best to be safe too. So it requires drivers to have a single motor vehicle driver's license. And we're going to disqualify drivers who operate commercial motor vehicles in an unsafe manner. That's right out of 383.1. The safe drivers, welcome aboard. The unsafe drivers, you're out of here. There are three essential areas of duty that we should go over. And these three essential duties, one or more, the companies get failures on invariably in our cases. The duty to hire and keep only competent, safe drivers. Objection, what's the objection? I object to your use of the word duty. Okay. Motor Vehicle Safety Director, sir, would you agree that part of your job is to hire and keep only competent, safe drivers? Yes. And as a matter of fact, did your company sign off on this agreement? Did you sign off on this agreement on behalf of your company to get the DOT for this company, the safety? Did you sign off on the certification? No, that's not me, but that is the president of the company. He signed it and he agreed. He agreed in safety training. He agreed in putting together systems. He agreed in hiring safe drivers. He agreed in everything I'm going over with you here on the screen. So isn't it a duty really to train and retrain? And isn't it a duty really to inspect your vehicles? You got to shut it down. They don't want you to go there. They want to live in a murky world of what does the reasonable man do? What's the reasonable man standard? I don't know where that reasonable man is, but he has caused us to lose more damn cases. Because if you have 8 jurors or 10 jurors, you have 8 to 10 reasonable persons who view the world a tad bit differently based on how they grew up and what they experienced in their lives. And we don't have that power to convince them to go our way. We have to get them to focus on universal truths and follow rules. And your best jurors become, yes, your best jurors. Who becomes your best jurors? I got to tell you, the punishers. Man, oh man, in focus groups, those jurors I would have bounced. They would kill me in the soft tissue cases. They're my jurors in these cases. When there are rules broken, they get angry. Those religious rights, well, we don't have too many of those in New Jersey, but when you can get them, I'm okay with them. I've tried cases in North Carolina. I've tried cases in West Virginia and Virginia. I've had cases in Florida. When you find those Bible Belt people, they're not bad jurors. I don't believe they are. So it's not about what happened. If you focus on the wreck, we have problems. It's about why it happened. Focus on the trucking company. Focus on the intentionality. That ticks off people. The intentionality of unsafe decisions. So pick your I can't get over that photograph and use that to go with this frame. Corporate safety policy was one in name only. Corporate safety policy was one in name only, and you have a frame of your wreck. This is after you've put forth and cross-examined, and we're going to get to that just in a bit. Wait till you see what we have. I hope I'm on target, am I? How much time do I have? So the defendant gave lip service to safety. How much time? 30 minutes. Okay, we're going to fly. So you have your truth speakers, right? I talked about Scott and I talked about Bob. Those are some of our truth speakers. Mike DiTolo, an accident recon out of Illinois, terrific guy. If I could give a shout out to the Academy of Accident Lawyers, Truck Accident Lawyers, Tim Whiting. I was with Tim Whiting at the conference this week. He is an educator. He is a guide, along with Joe. They've dedicated their lives to not only helping their clients, but helping other lawyers like me and you, to be better lawyers, to be better advocates. So we have to backchain. What's the single point of failure? That's where we go and we focus on it and we stay on it. Never start with the crash, start and finish with selfish corporate decisions. More often than not, safety costs money. Ask for the budgets. You ever think about asking for the safety budget over the last 5 years? Well, we really don't budget safety. Interesting answer, received more often than not. There's 5 areas of corporate responsibility. Here they are. Now, I believe you're getting these at the end of the day, so I'm going to fly through them, but that doesn't mean that you should fly through them in your depositions or in your discovery. You want to get the background on your driver before you depose him. Get his driving records, get his driving abstract, get his employment records, find out every job he's had and why has he moved on. Demonstrate the required knowledge of that driver by questioning him on the required knowledge in your particular case. Not a buffet, but on what matters in your case, and let's see how he does. Get the inspection records on that vehicle, not just for that day or that week, but get a good couple of years of inspection records. No, it's not overly burdensome, but we want to see a history. We're looking for a pattern. Did they obey safe load capacity? You're going to have to find out, what were they pulling? What were they hauling? What was the load? So what is the system failure is where the hunt is, right? What is the system failure? Why did it happen? Not what happened. Why? Why did the system fail us? Disregard of poor driving records. They kept a bad driver on because he was cheap. They kept the bad driving on because he was friends of the dispatcher. The safety director that doesn't know safety. I gave you that story. They're out there. You want to get the book on the safety director. Are they really safety directors with a background in federal motor carrier safety regulations? Or have they forgotten what they read and don't know much anymore? Or are they retired police who know perhaps the traffic and motor vehicle laws, but do not know the regs? Was there cost cutting? Get the budgets. And what you'll find more often than not is a culture of unsafe driving. So here's an important focus. This comes right out of case frames. Do your job, follow the rules. I bought the book, so I'm entitled to use these. Obey the law, right? Doesn't that apply to the trucker? Do your job, follow the rules, obey the law. Trucking company, do your job, follow the safety agreement that you signed with the government, and hire good drivers. Now, why am I playing this? Look at what he said. He said that there was a blind spot when he was moving from the right-hand lane into the exit lane, and he could not see. That's what he says here. He could not see my client in the exit lane when he began to move, and he wanted to blame a blind spot. And frequently you'll hear about blind spots. You can't change a blind spot. You can't put in enough mirrors. It's impossible. Blind spots are there, but if you want to get cargo delivered through America, we can't be chained with 1 million mirrors on our vehicles. There's blind spots, there are going to be blind spots, and that's how it is, And sometimes an accident will happen. But what's the trade-off? Is the trade-off that we stop commerce? So it's subtle, right? It's subtle, but that's where they were going to go. And you got to nip it in the bud early. So we're now going to depose a really nice young man who was most respectful to me. And most jurors, my wife would give this sweet kid a pass until you get to the rest of the story. Let's take a look. Let's listen.
Vehicle was traveling in a blind spot, and I was unable to see the vehicle before the impact.
Oh, yes. Okay. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. I thought you were asking me to repeat part of the question, not my answer. Yes. Okay. I do still agree with that statement.
And okay. At any time before the collision, did you ever see Mr. Bischoff's vehicle in the right exit lane?
No, sir, I did not.
When you began to move into the exit lane, can you tell me everything you did with regard to the operation of your tractor?
Yes, sir. Starting with the right-hand blinker, of course, letting the foot off the throttle, of course, checking the mirrors that I have, and then moving the vehicle over into the lane when it appeared to be clear to do so.
At any time while conducting those operations of your vehicle, did you see Mr. Bischoff's car next to your tractor trailer?
I did not, sir.
Were you able to see the right-hand lane adjacent to your tractor and trailer before you began your turn into the exit lane?
Oh, yes, sir.
Here it is. That's what he said. And I will tell you, he got it pretty well down right on executing the turn. Now, here's what I want you to do before we start this up. This is a dash cam video. Don't go away, Vince. This is a dash cam video from the tractor that the defense never gave up until the last minute. I was absolutely convinced that there had to be a dash cam. There always is, and especially for these long distance haulers. And I finally got it. They didn't want to give it to me. I finally got it. That's another story, but you have to be persistent. Let me tell you this, just as an aside. I attended a seminar where a speaker from the National Defense Association got religion and told the audience that they are instructed, the defense are instructed to not respond to discovery demands until a motion is filed. And only when it's filed and there's an order, give the barest minimum and hope the plaintiff goes to sleep. How often do you get a policy at 750, 1 million, and you push and you push and you want to speak to, you want to depose the person in the company with the most relevant knowledge on the insurance policies, or who is in charge of insurance and determines what policies to buy. Depose that person. They don't pay them enough. We do it in every case. After we do that, one policy, another policy, another policy, and then they still don't produce the chassis policy. You're going to have to get the lease. You're going to have to see what it says, get the agreement, find out who owns the chassis, and then determine whether to bring them in or not, whether the coverage applies. So they're hiding the knowledge, they're hiding the information, they're hiding coverage. Let's talk about this. They were hiding this video. Why? On the right front fender is a mirror, as you could see. There were also convex mirrors, but Vince is going to move this. Look closely. Maybe it's a little dark in the transition to you, but there is a gray car right there. You're going to see it in a second. After that gray car passes, keep looking, and you're going to see my client's black, small passenger automobile show up in plain view and watch. There's the gray car passing. Keep watching. And here comes the black car. See it coming up on the right? Now you're going to see it to your right. Here it comes. Now he begins to turn into that lane. Too late. And oh my God. What was that nice young man looking at? What do you think he was looking at? He really didn't know where he was going. And he had never taken this right before to make the delivery. And you could see he came on it too late. And I think he was looking to beat the right only. Did you see it said only? I think he was looking to beat it going only, right only, because it would be another 5 miles for him to get back to where he had to get to. So I don't think he was looking at his mirrors. He was confused. He was not prepared. And that goes to system failure. It's not about the trucker. It's about training. It's about learning, working with a dispatcher, learning your route, understanding your route, doing a Google study on your route, planning it out. Planning your route is essential. You have to know it by heart. You can't be guessing. This is what happens when you guess. Now, we'd like to believe that we could trust me. I'm a trucker. After I heard that young fella, I said, wow, I think a jury's going to trust him. But the reality is, and the focus was, that he made a mistake. So we trust trucking companies to put safe drivers behind the wheel, but we trust trucking companies to make them safe. And this didn't happen in this case. So right out of Mark's book, the case frame is trust and a betrayal of that public trust, a mistake that betrayed the safety of the public. He testified under oath, appearing as honest as could be, that he did everything possible and my client's car was not there. How did the collision happen? So, what will make jurors angry? Speed kills. Another frame out of Mark's book. The driver will kill somebody driving too fast, given his load and road conditions. Here's an exhibit I use in closing argument, because one might say it's argumentative, and I would imagine it is, but we save it for closing. We want to make sure every driver is going this way along Prevention Avenue. So that is argumentative, but that's the point we want to make. The insurance industry in this case turned a blind eye to safety. That's a case frame out of case framing. Turned a blind eye to public safety. What happened was predictable. It was obvious it would happen because of these system failures, and was preventable. We not need be here for this case, but for a moment of caution, but for a minute of preparedness, we should not be here, but we are here. What have we all experienced in our lives? I wonder how many promises I made that I didn't keep. How many promises were made to you that hurt you? Every single juror has had a broken dream and a broken promise. The worst is a broken safety program that puts death on the highway. Everyone will relate to this. This is a case frame. Put it into your arsenal. It's concrete with a fracture right through it. Promises. And then go through the promises that were made and the broken safety program that caused this hurt. You got to find that one thing and keep working at it. Pick the main thing and drill down, proving the system failures. And here they are: inadequate policies, inadequate training, supervision, investigation, no discipline, all out the window. Here is the fellow who wrote the history of the Peloponnesian Wars. And he said, justice only comes when those here are jurors who are not injured, feel as indignant as those who are. That's our job, to bring that hurt and that feeling of anger into the courtroom so a just verdict is delivered. Often the defense will say, how do we learn all of this? How do we get it done? And okay, let's make it easy for you. Let's give you a simple test, the Smith system. The essential rules of safe driving, there's only 5. You got to get 5. I mean, every person could remember at least 7 numbers. That's a phone number, right? 7 numbers. We just want you to know 5. Aim high in steering. Get the big picture. Keep your eyes moving. Leave yourself an out. Make sure they see you. Keep your eyes moving. That's a big problem. Getting the big picture, a bigger problem. Aim high, the worst. So let's talk about why that matters. According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, not me talking, not Lawyer Man talking, but the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, your expert will tell the jury, he's their guide, he will tell the jury that 88% to 96% of all fatalities and injuries are preventable when truck and bus owners implement an effective safety program and they assure compliance of that program. The motoring public is protected. So let's talk about a company. Let's backchain it to the company itself and introduce the company. So we started with the story of the company. We're running out of time, so let me fast forward and show you this is the tractor and that is the trailer that the driver was pulling. A young man, seemed like a nice fellow. He was kind of down and out when I got his history. He went from job to job in his young life and then took the CDL and passed, lived out of a suitcase for a year before he got this job. I think they hired him cheap. They did hire him cheap. And they put him behind the wheel of that tractor, pulling that tanker to Wisconsin empty to pick up liquid egg. And here's what happened. I don't normally start with the accident, but we're running out of time. So here it is. Now, how did this come about? Now, if you have a dynamic picture like this, you have to use it. And how did this happen? My client was in the white SUV. A witness was to the right. The tractor trailer, the tractor and tanker were coming up behind my clients and began to move into the left lane on Route 80, Highway Route 80 in New Jersey, and suddenly veered into the snow that was plowed into the shoulder, lost control. The tanker was empty, jackknifed. The snow went up in the air. I asked the witness, what did you see before collision? I could swear I was in a blizzard. A nice sunny day turned into a blizzard. And then I was confronted with a wall of silver steel, and I had no place to go. Your client was ahead of me and crashed into the wall of steel. She had no place to go. And so there's the crash. I deposed the truck driver. I looked at the police investigation. How could this happen? What was going on? What was in his head? In the front seat was a pleasant-looking young lady in a Dunkin' Donuts outfit. Clear violation of the rules. I never got the full story of what was happening just before the incident, but it happened. So, I can't get over. Did he say he had a gal in the car in a Dunkin' Donuts outfit, taking her to Wisconsin to pick up eggs? Really? So that was in the mix. That's an I can't get over. Now, so we deposed the owner. Vincent set up a 3-camera shoot, one on the owner, one on me, and one on the exhibits. And I started with the Smith system. and he was pretty good on the Smith system. Didn't get them all, but covered it and made sure. He wanted me to know that he is a proponent of it. Let's watch. You're familiar with the Smith system, I take it?
Yes.
What is the Smith system?
So system is like 5 major key factors for a driver to know. Pretty much keeping your distance, keep yourself out. Think 15 seconds ahead of the. Keep yourself out. It's like you see a situation, then you could get into an accident. Try to keep yourself out of the situation.
In other words, you always have to keep in mind an out in the event
Yes.
something untoward
Yes.
occurs.
Yes. So it's like the 5 key factors that pretty much were designed for you, as a driver, to know, to try to be as safety as possible.
When you hire a driver, whether it be for MKL or TRD, do you make sure they know the Smith system?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Why? Because it's important safety. You're hauling an 80,000-pound vehicle when it's loaded. When it's empty, it's about 30,000 pounds. So you have to try to, give them the most safety knowledge that you can pass on to them.
So you're a proponent, you're an advocate of the Smith system, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you teach the Smith system?
Safety consultant.
He does.
Yes.
When you hire a driver, do you assure yourself, whether you're hiring for MKL or you're hiring for TRD, that that driver is familiar with the 5 points of the Smith system?
Yes.
Well, I thought that was pretty good until I deposed the driver. This is the young man who was traveling to Wisconsin with his lady friend, and so I wanted to hear about the Smith system. Anything that comes to mind in terms of driver safety? For example, were you trained in the Smith system?
What is the Smith system?
It's 5 safety rules of professional driving, and it's called the Smith system.
I never heard of that.
Okay. To this day, you've never heard of the Smith system?
No.
In the words of Mark Mandel, I can't get over that. He said, what? True. This is all in your cases. You just have to go looking for it. So here's his driving abstract, which went on forever for a young man who was beyond belief. Seemed like a nice guy, right? But his driving abstract bespoke incompetence. Let's see what the owner had to say about it. Do you remember questioning Hansen regarding these violations we see highlighted in yellow on this page?
I don't remember, to be honest. No, I don't remember what answers he gave me. Pretty sure I did. We went over it, but I don't remember.
Do you believe, following your safety practices, you would have asked him what was the nature of that equipment violation?
Yes.
Would you have documented his response?
No, I don't remember if I did.
Did you have a company practice to document the response when asking an applicant about a charge of equipment violation the year before or within a year of his application to you?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Would it be part of your practice to document the response of an applicant regarding the charge of a violation entitled equipment violation that took place within 1 year of him coming to you to get a job?
Yes, so we do the PSP report.
Well, there it is. Did he keep him on board? He did. So let's ask him why. Didn't he believe that this was the type of driver that would conduct himself recklessly? Let's see his answer. Okay, let's look at the one above it, speeding. On January 2nd, 2015. That's probably around the time of his application. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't know. Well,
Mr. Hansen told us that he was working for approximately 1 year before the collision, would you have probed a violation that was right around the time of his hire, speeding?
Yes.
Let's drill down a little further. Now that's the company policy. Can you read that for us?
TRD Trucking Inc. is committed to be safety and security of our company employees, independent drivers, or customers, and the general public.
Now, with regard to training, when you hired him, was there anything to you as the owner of the vehicles that concerned you about Kenneth Hansen, given his driving abstract and what we reviewed earlier? Anything at all?
There was just the fictitious plates, speeding, and the other violations.
And no insurance
Yes.
and ID in his possession? That
Yes.
concerned you, right?
Yes.
Would you agree, as an operator of two trucking companies, that that raises a concern for his respect for the law?
Yes.
And would you agree that that raises concern as to whether a person who has a driving history as Kenneth Hansen did would commit reckless driving?
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Did it at least give you a concern that this is an applicant that would be reckless in the operation of my vehicle?
I don't know. Because, it's hard to see, you can have somebody with a clean driver's abstract and they can get a reckless. Like, I don't.
That's hard to see. But with his abstract, would you at least agree that for an individual like you, who places, as the Secretary of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Department says, safety is our highest priority, given that abstract, as we all went over today, when you sat down with him, you had to have a concern, did you not? That this is an individual who could drive recklessly while operating one of my vehicles.
Like I said, I don't know. It's.
Would you agree that, given that abstract, there was a question in your mind as to what was his level of respect or disrespect for the law while operating one of your motor vehicles?
I don't know.
There's a lot more I could go over, but I want to go over the bonus. So here I am asking about recklessness and his belief that he would be reckless. Toward the end of the deposition, this young man took off his windbreaker, and this is why it pays to videotape. If it's worth deposing, it's worth videotaping. I'm sitting there and looking at him, and co-counsel passes me a note. Do you see that shirt? I said, yes. And so I said to this young fellow, could you sit up a little higher in your seat? The videographer really doesn't have a good shot at you. And he does. And there is, Mark, if that's not a case frame, that's it. And it came together in closing argument, reckless. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is important work that we do. And remember that the main thing is to make the main thing the main thing. Ginger, Destiny, everyone, thank you so much for taking time out from a lovely Friday afternoon to be with us. I hope we continue with these programs, and I hope to be a part of it for as long as I can. Thank you all. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Michael. No, thank you so much. That was wonderful. That was a fantastic presentation. We can go through the chats and see if there are some questions here. And if anyone has a question, please go ahead and feel free to use the chat or the Q&A box. Let me open this up now. We have a wonderful comment here actually from Doug Beam, and I'll read it aloud. Michael Maggiano, you have influenced my development as a trial lawyer in so many positive ways through your presentation and being a gentleman at all times. Your skill of being real and persuasively direct is extraordinary. The skill is transferable in any venue in this country. Your positive influence in my development as a trial lawyer translates into my clients being well served, which is why we do this calling, and me being a better person and trial lawyer. Thank you. That's a wonderful comment from Doug Beam.
Doug, I've known you for a long time, and you're the quintessential gentleman in the courtroom. I can't tell you how honored and moved I am. Thank you, Doug. Can't wait to see you soon.
Awesome. Let me look through here, see if there's any other questions that have come through.
And I'm seeing a whole lot of other amazing comments. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so, so much. I'm seeing all these great comments about you, Michael, and thank you for taking the time out to be with us today.
Was that a jury in the background?
It could be. Let's see here. There's some wonderful more comments that I can read out loud from Maria Lasavio. Mr. Maggiano is such an elegant and trustworthy advocate for those who have been injured. This has been a fantastic webinar with real and practical application tips from discovery to trial. That's wonderful. Lloyd is saying, thank you so much. Fantastic, informative presentation. I don't see any other questions. I'll give it another minute and see if there's any other questions that come through. But this has been a fantastic presentation. I'm so appreciative to you, Michael, for sharing your time, and to Vincent. I know that you all worked so hard to put all this presentation together for us.
If I could thank all of the trial lawyers who have enabled me to give this presentation. There are so many. And one marvelous thing about the plaintiff's trial bar, the sharing should continue and should grow. And I can't wait to see you all live, right, at the next program. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Destiny.
Thank you. You guys, give me just a few moments. I am going to email you all the contact information so you can stay in touch with Vincent, with Michael, as well as Destiny and all of our amazing partners at HMR, On Point Legal Nurse Consulting, as well as Physician Life Care Planning, because they are amazing. And then also I wanted to quickly announce the winner of the coffee giveaway today, because Ted from HMR, he is actually out on vacation this week. He told me to go ahead and announce the winner, and his name is Mr. Paul D'Amato, I believe. I think that's how you say it.
Holy mackerel, Paul D'Amato.
Do you know
the
him?
Prince of it. Do I know him? I don't go to Atlantic City unless he's my co-counsel.
Oh, wow.
You can't go into the Atlantic County Courthouse without Paul D'Amato.
Oh, well, fantastic. Congratulations, because he just won 4 bags of this freshly roasted Ethiopia coffee, the coffee that's been sweeping the nation. I know everybody wants to win, John Romano especially, and we're sorry, John, you have not won yet, but you got to stay tuned.
So recently I learned that Paul D'Amato and Mark Mandel went to Georgetown together.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That is such a small world too. And yeah, just a reminder too, you guys, be sure to check out Case Framing, all those amazing books that both Michael and Destiny have. You want to check into those great resources. And I believe Mark Mandel is going to be speaking, because we're going to do a New York City seminar in March. I think it's March 1st to the 4th of next year. And of course you will be with us, right, Michael?
I will be in the front row selling books.
Fantastic.
They're that important. They truly are.
Thank you so much. Well, congratulations to Paul. I'm so excited that you guys know each other. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. And then also, Vincent, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please come back up just for one more second and let everybody know how they can reach you. And again,
Sure.
tell us a little bit more about Dynamic Evidence, because it's an incredible company that you are you've created. It's amazing.
So sure, you could reach out. Our website is dynamicevidence.com. We are forensic videographers providing experienced technicians to facilitate documentation of evidence. We are actually hospital vendors. We go out, we film surgeries. We'll go out to accident scenes with experts and bring high technology to help the experts write the reports. Aside from that, we enjoy working with the trial lawyers at deposition and have come up with a game plan for these multi-camera shoots and to integrate the evidence. to make it interesting. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, how we approach the deposition with this technology. I'd love to talk to you about it and share some of what I've learned working with these lawyers over the past 20 years. It's exciting. There's a lot going on, and now we're integrating it into Zoom. What we did today was we were using broadcast quality cameras to launch this meeting. And as a trial coach, we are advising trial lawyers when they have a Zoom trial, take that advantage. Don't use a web camera. Use quality lighting, use the lights, use the microphones, just like we would filming a TV show. So that is the game plan behind dynamic evidence, to bring that reality to the juror. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the company.
Well, it's an incredible company, and I hope everybody reaches out to you and stays in touch. Again, give me just a few moments. I will send it out to everybody in a few minutes. But
Thank you.
Vincent, you're amazing. We love having your dad with us today. And I think it was very special to have you guys with us. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Last minute closing comments, Michael?
It is so important that we get the story. It really is. There's nothing more than jurors love, and that is to be captured by a moral story and letting them become the heroes at the end of the day by delivering a just verdict. That's what they came there to do, and we have to enable them to accomplish that. I think we've gone through today one important way in the truck crash case. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I hope that you will come back with us and be with us again soon, Michael. I appreciate you.
Well, it does get lonely up here in Fort Lee sometimes, sure.
Anytime. And Destiny, thank you so much. It is always a joy to be with you as well. We hope everybody has an incredible weekend. Please go to connectionology.com and sign up for our 3 additional webinars that we have next week. So have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everybody. Bye.